Hello, and welcome everybody to Fort 1E. I'm one of your hosts, Evan, and I'm joined by...
This is Greg. How you doing? Welcome to the fort.
Yes, everybody, welcome. Thank you for joining us for a very special episode. That's because all of our episodes are very special.
So special.
It's because we're
this light. Sorry.
We're very special. We're so special. We're a couple of special boys.
Sorry, you were like, make sure the lighting is... Oh, wait, but there's still this, like, pocket over here. But whatever. I'll move my head. I'll just move over.
Your head is Easter Island-y enough to block the light. But unlike them, you're going to have to say something.
I think that the Easter Island heads make a sound. It's just like, we can't perceive it.
That's true, I guess.
Everything has a sound.
In a sense, that is definitely true.
You could take the pitch of any material.
A bat,
like every material has a pitch.
It might, like if a bat can see it with sonar, then it must have some sort of sound quality to it, right?
Yes.
So maybe it's not just our imagination. Anyway, speaking of bats, how are you doing?
I don't see how that's speaking of bats, but I guess if I had the virus, that's a totally irrelevant question. I'm fine. I don't know if I have the virus. I don't care if I have the virus.
There we go.
If my
that's
job
even better than
get tested. I will get tested.
That it's even better than getting tested. Is not caring whether or not you have it.
About the results. Yep.
Then you just win.
Easy.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you figured that out. Your body's feeling better from your sushi experience?
Yes. I went to see my friend's new apartment, and we got sushi, and on the way there, like, it was just like the most fucked sushi trip ever. We're driving, and then bees flew in the car on the highway.
Bees!
And, like, hit her in the eye. Like, and she's like, oh my God, what the hell? I was like, right, like, it's fine, just slow down, get in the right lane. And, like, the cops were blocking all the exits, so we were forced to go on, like, the roundabout all the way down to, over the bridge, like, near the beaches, near the Jones beaches, and all the way back. It was, like, such pain in the ass.
Jesus.
It was, like, 10 minutes to, like, half hour, and we got hit in the face with bees.
Damn, and all the bees in your eyes?
On top of that, food poisoning.
Adding insult to injury.
Yep, that, but whatever. I mean, it tasted really good, the sushi.
It was good on the way in.
So I was like, I don't know, what do we give it, like a 2 out of 5? She's like, no, a 1 out of 5. We got sick. But
it was pretty good.
Got sick. 1 out of 5. But, yeah, but it tasted so good.
It's like, yeah, I guess like a 1 would be if it tasted bad and you got food poisoning.
Yeah.
But that exists. Like
I had to give it a 1. But if it tasted bad, then you would stop eating it. Even, if it were likely to give you food poisoning.
Paradoxical. It could have been enough, though. Like, even, like if you take a bite and swallow that 1 bite, you could get some food poisoning. But it probably wouldn't be as bad. That's probably true.
Anyway, it's better now.
I'm glad. Got that behind you.
I went for a run in the weighted vest, in the 20-pound weighted vest.
What a man.
I felt basically like I was walking down the street in a bulletproof vest. It was like amazing. Like, go ahead, shoot me. Come on, I won't die. You got to be really good at shooting in order to kill me. Go ahead, take a shot. Boom. Like, still fine. Take your best shot.
Like, officer, I was just joking.
There's no reason to shoot me. Clearly.
You should go give someone a reason to shoot you.
What?
Like, make a podcast that is controversial. So controversial. People are like, Fort 1E is bigger than Jesus. And then
Well,
someone knocks on your door one day.
I could just hope that I die on air. That's all I could hope.
That would be sweet. That would be awesome. Like if I was talking to you and I saw a red dot like appear on your forehead, I'd just keep going. I wouldn't say anything.
But it would be like behind my head, from the window.
Maybe not. Maybe the laser comes out of your computer. Didn't think of that, did you? No, not from the camera. The camera just helps it aim. It'll come out of like the Y key or something like that.
Y key, okay. Anyway.
That'd be awesome. We should make that Black Mirror episode.
3 days. Black Mirror is an amazing show. Amazing show. I mean, I work at the Google headquarters, and I think that I have no say in anything, but I think that there should be a room where there's Black Mirror playing constantly, just through the series, rotating, 24-hour cycle. Just
why?
Playing.
Why do you need
walk in and be like, oh, it's this episode. There's these principles I think about, and just walk out like totally like gonna improve everyone's lives.
Yeah, maybe, but on the other hand, like if they're just experiencing what's actually happening in the show, then they might actually be like. I would imagine that people working on AI at Google have a much deeper and more nuanced and good opinion about AI than someone who watches Black Mirror.
What if they're so immersed in their work that like they forget this like service level fundamental principle that is clearly demonstrated by an episode? But whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's possible, but I don't think it's the norm. I don't think you need a
carpet. It's like the idea of carpet. Sure, you're perfectly efficient walking on floors, but what if you add carpet?
But you don't put carpet in every room. I guess you're saying this would be one room. But I don't think everyone needs to go in it. I think that most skillful computer people are going to be cognizant of their brains to do their job and would not need reminding. Like if you're trying to make an AI that is selling ads to people, you're always thinking about people.
What if they're like about to create an app and they're like, oh shit, wait, Black Mirror warned against this. Like,
but yeah, no, but like, I think that dude, the things that we should actually be concerned about in AI are certainly much better understood by the people working on it than by you or I or anyone else.
Yeah, that's not the point. That's not the point.
but I was saying, like, I don't see how the information would be relevant if they already know better.
I mean, I don't know how much Black Mirror you've watched, but honestly, just the act of watching Black Mirror is itself like work. It's like spiritual work, or like I don't know, it's just sort of
maybe it's
intellectual work. But
yeah, it could be case by case.
Like it couldn't hurt, like to not like it couldn't hurt just to be always aware of that. Always aware that if you think of yourself in the scheme that, in the perspective that Black Mirror forces you to think about existence in, and where we're headed as humanity.
And you don't think that they spend time doing that enough already?
No, I'm just saying, like, who spends time doing that enough?
The people working on AI at Google. Maybe that's all they think about. Maybe they spend 23 hours a day thinking about all the apocalyptic futures that could come about from AI and could write 100 episodes of Black Mirror if they felt like it. What if that's most people that work on AI at Google? That's all I'm saying. Like, how much do they need? Like, if that's the case, and I don't see how we could know for sure that it's not, and I think there's reason to believe it is, they might know way more terrifying futures than Black Mirror has. On the other hand, I've never seen the show, so I'm speaking from place of ignorance.
Why are we even talking about it?
I just wanted to at least acknowledge that even that might be putting it lightly. Whatever Black Mirror is, never seen it, it might really be much more tame and much more obvious than what may happen. How can you
speculate over something that you've never seen?
That's what speculating means.
It's like saying the inside of Mila Kunis's asshole is pink. Like that's what you're using to defend your argument.
I mean, I'm not talking about one example. Like, I'd say all
Like,
of
it
the.
seems like it would be pink,
Well,
even though I've never seen it. But I can talk
What
about it. Like,
does
what gives
it
me
make?
gives me the point? Talk like, how can I talk about that?
How, like, would you describe the colors of a stop sign?
There are two of them.
And what are they?
Two-part question. Red and white.
So if I had a blue and green stop sign that I then held up, I'd be like, that doesn't make sense for you to even guess that. Except obviously it does, because you've seen so many stop signs in your entire life, and maybe I've seen a bunch of assholes in my life. You don't know, but if you see a lot of something, you can then use that information to make educated guesses about other things. And I feel like every time I hear an expert talk about something, they're so many steps ahead of me and thinking about things so far beyond what I would have even thought of, and that I think that it's probably true with AI as well.
Well, yeah,
and
sure,
people working on it.
That's the nature of being specialized in a field. You progress further in your field than the average person.
Yeah, and I'm saying that since I know about other experts, I can make a speculation with an educated guess about these experts. I think if we want to give them grounding, it might make if they, I just don't know if that's what they need. I think it's worth talking about, but one of my points is that we're probably tragically ignorant on the subject, and they may not need to be.
I brought it up as hyperbole to show the value of the TV series and give it some sort of perspective. I thought you'd seen it. I mean, moving forward with humanity, we're going to face a lot of ethical dilemmas.
Yes.
Like, clearly. And making the proper choices is paramount. Not setting ourselves backwards like Trump's done in his presidency. Like, wow. No one would imagine it could have been this bad.
It was a group effort. People voted for him, but that was able to happen in the system we had, Right. And now we need to deal with what does that mean. I agree that the show Black Mirror and shows similar to it are really great for getting people thinking about these really big problems that without studying them very much, you might not worry enough about. It's just that, if I was to think of a person that might not need to watch Black Mirror to be worried about AI, it would have been those people. So that's why I felt like it was worth.
It's not so much worried about AI; it's just worried about humanity.
Then maybe they should
needs to think about these issues in depth. It should be the people who have the power to influence changing them.
Yeah,
even if it's just.
Maybe more is just always better. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Maybe even though they're already thinking about it, it's a good point actually. If the population is watching Black Mirror, and you're working at Google on AI that will affect the population, and that the population now has this perspective in AI based on Black Mirror about AI, you can use that information. So by studying Black Mirror, you can sort of study to some extent the same study material that the population has studied. So that actually sounds very useful. I'm agreeing with you.
The general population would not, the average person would not be able to grasp the issues that are brought up in Black Mirror. I think all of them, but you've never seen it, so I really want to stop talking about it. Why the fuck are we talking about a show you've never seen?
I can talk about anything infinitely.
Right, but productively?
It's questionable whether I can talk about anything productively. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Throwing the P word around. Yeah, no, but I'm going to agree with you. They should have that room. That's a good point.
I'll work on it.
No, I like it. And I should now I want to watch the show more.
Please.
Realizing that even if I will have different opinions about what's in it. The fact that other people are seeing it and they're going to have opinions about it too. And I'm going to, maybe the people someday would listen to this podcast. That'd be nice. It'd be cool if unlikely, but if anyone ever listens to this podcast, that'd be pretty cool. And if there was one more way in which we could bridge the gap of understanding, that'd rock. So thank you. Let's see. I've got a few topics. Oh yeah. Speaking of the fucking beautiful, wonderful, sexually attractive people that are listening to our podcast, I wanted to say, you and I are going to ask each other stuff. We're sort of going to just chat about what we want to chat about. We just talked about a show I haven't seen ever somehow, and that's fine. But I would also love to be answering our listeners' questions. And I'm hoping that sometimes, as you, Greg, and I are having a conversation and answering and asking questions of each other, people listening or maybe having some of their questions answered too, that'd be cool. But say they're not. Let's say you got a question for us. You'd feel free to ask us. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram, Facebook. What's that other one? MySpace? Sure. I don't know if it's around anymore. Blockbuster? We're at all of them. You'll find us at Blockbuster all the time. And you can ask us about, I'm sure you'd agree, literally like any subject of any kind. Politics, you can ask about politics, communism, capitalism,
I don't
economics.
I don't want to say that we know everything, but we know how to know anything.
We don't know how to say no to a question about whether or not we know something, because we're compelled to think about it, and we're always willing to say yes. Let's see what's in there.
That doesn't have a best answer.
That may or may not be true.
Best answer.
It's possible that that's not true sometimes, but it's very useful to operate as though it is true, and that's what I try to do. I try to address things as though there is a better way to do it, probably, in an ideal way, and it's based on a bunch of things that you can think about. And friggin' economics, media, art, My Little Pony, My Chemical Romance, myopia, mitochondria, my pleasure. Whatever you want, just send it our way. We're not gonna say no. We'll give it our darndest. We won't be offended. You can ask us about poop and pee.
I wonder, who are you trying to get to ask us about excrement? Why are you trying to ask about excrement? Why don't you just ask a question about excrement if you want to ask it?
I consider myself an expert. I don't currently have any
questions about excrement.
But if one comes up, this is a place I can talk about it.
All right, I'm getting you business cards. Edmund Gottschalk, excrement expert.
Always ready to talk shit. Yeah, I don't know. The list had politics in it. We mentioned Blockbuster. I don't see why it can't also have shit and piss.
As long as it's tasteful.
Yeah, well, no. You feel free to ask us not tasteful questions. Like, zero limits. You can call us whatever you want, especially Greg. Call us whatever you want in your question, or don't even ask a question, just call us something. We're basically just desperate for attention.
Love me.
Listen to our podcast. So yeah.
Moving on. What was the second thing?
Second thing. Uh-oh. Was there a second thing? I didn't know I said there was more than one thing. Well, do you agree? I wanted to know if you...
Do I agree what? With what?
That... Are you down?
Down. What did I agree? What am I agreeing to?
Are you? Will you verbally contract yourself to take all questions?
Yeah, of course. So yes.
That's the right answer. I love it. We're very special boys, you and I.
So you don't have any questions, though?
Well, actually, I had a thing to talk about that is relevant to the present. So there are recently protests about, a chronic series of police brutality events against black men. And there was a specific one recently where a police officer killed a pinned black individual. I think it was a male. With a boot on his neck, and the guy was clearly not a threat, and it seems like it was very. It's very hard to argue it's self-defense. So that went viral. People got upset. Now there's protests, and people are getting violent at the protests, and now the police are getting involved in that, and it's sort of exacerbating the problem. And people are getting on Twitter and Instagram and sharing videos of people hurting each other, and there's videos of people on both sides doing bad things, so both sides have videos to show each other to get both sides riled up. In the midst of it, one tweet I saw was someone saying, not Joe Rogan. I made this mistake very recently. Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen's Instagram, he posted an image that says Black Lives Matter. I wonder if I can find it. And the replies, I don't know if it was all of them, but at least a decent portion were things like all lives matter and things of that nature, like things like,
this is like 3 years old, 4 years old.
Someone saying
5 years old?
Like black people are attacking each other too. Like all of the dumbest things you could possibly imagine to say in response to that. And okay. I think I might have found it. Yeah, here it is. Okay. So I forgot. He posted the image of saying Black Lives Matter, and then said, if this is a remotely controversial statement to you, feel free to unfollow me. And then like one person replied, unfollowed, and Seth Rogen replied, good, get fucked. And someone else said, all lives matter. Actually said, all lives matter. And then Seth Rogen responded to them, eat shit and fuck you. And then someone else said, let's see, I think you meant to say all lives matter. And he said, fuck you. Someone said, hashtag all lives matter, people making this only about blacks when it's about all races of color. Why do all these brutality videos only show the end? They don't show WTF these people were doing to get in trouble in the first place. And Seth Rogen responds, fuck off. You don't deserve my movies anymore. Stop watching my shit. So seeing like a person who would say that first thing get told by Seth Rogen to not watch his films is amazing. That is really funny. And he responded to a few other people like, stop watching my movies. You're not allowed to anymore. And it looks like he responded to every single person who said something like that. So it's a great image. And I think in one way, he's obviously trying to defend something important. Or at least that's how I feel. But at the same time, I have to ask myself, and this is my question to you as well, is it constructive of him to reply to those people in that way? Maybe the post, like maybe the original post saying, if this is controversial for you, you can unfollow me.
Okay.
I think even that, like, is any of that constructive?
Here's the background though. This is a 5-year-old movement. Mm-hmm. Anyone who's been conscious for the last 5 years has heard Black Lives Matter. everyone has talked to someone who's had the stance of all lives matter. And then as educated individuals who are up to date with the times, who's like, okay, clearly, well, I mean, I would say all life matters, clearly. But the statement Black Lives Matter is something that just we decided as people, as humans, that needs to be said because there's still people who aren't acting as though Black Lives Matter. It's not a question of whether or not lives matter. It's an observation that, wow, people are still going to treat Black people as if their lives don't matter. So we have to say it to everyone because we can't risk anybody not completely understanding the fact that, hey, given a Black life, A, it matters. Given a Black life, B, it matters. In all cases, this is not wasted time talking about this. Everyone's like, oh, but that's a waste of time talking about. No. That's the problem. If you try to dismiss it, that is what we're trying to avoid. The issue shouldn't be dismissed. That's it. I think, in my opinion. I've been a part of this for like a number of years, just reading about it. Many black people in my life, like,
okay,
who I love, like,
yeah.
Like,
so
it's 2020, like it's 2020. This happens like every 50 years or something. Like, what?
Does this? I don't understand how that explains whether or not what Seth Rogen did was constructive.
I guess I lost track of the question, but
that's okay.
No. I did at the end. I said it's not wasted time. Like, talking about this is not wasted time because every time we talk about it, another person could read it. It's just the way that social media works.
But does reading Seth Rogen to eat shit make you think Black Lives Matter? Like, I don't think it does.
Well, he's replying to each individual person because if you haven't read about the stuff that I was talking about, and you're still making the statements that are in apparent ignorance, maybe you need someone personally to reach out to you to try to get you to open your eyes.
And telling them to eat shit.
If it's a famous person being funny, then maybe they're more likely to think and not completely dismiss someone, which is also what it's about.
I think it's easier to dismiss someone when they're telling you to eat shit. I think if someone's talking to me like that, I don't think their opinion is as good.
What if he prefaced, like, he made it perfectly clear how he was going to react by his original post,
which I also think might not be constructive.
And he's like, whatever, I just got to address all the trolls. I mean, he's bored, I guess. They're not filming. He has to fill his time in some way. He doesn't want to learn an instrument. Like, I don't get why he posted it. But sure, I would like Seth Rogen to play keyboards,
Yeah.
For us, Seth Rogen, why don't you learn some fucking keyboards and stop using unproductive social media? That's what I say.
There's
learn the fucking drums.
Amazing keyboardist. He plays the keyboard in The Office. I forgot his name.
Ed Helms.
Yes. He'd be like a white Ed Helms. But yeah, I mean, so those are reasons why he would be doing it, but is it constructive is still my question.
I think it is because every time he answers, it bumps the post. It's just the way social media works that makes it constructive.
Oh, no, not Ed Helms. No, the black dude.
Oh, Craig Robinson?
He sings beautifully. He's the janitor guy, and he's in Hot Tub Time Machine.
That's Craig Robinson.
Craig Robinson, yeah, no. Yeah, Seth Rogen would be like a black Ed Helms, but a white Craig Robinson.
Okay, whatever you say. But yeah, that's how I feel. Like, why are people not getting this stuff? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, I definitely don't think lamenting. Whoa! For what reason doth people still be this way? 'Tis sad.
Well,
Like
here's the okay, fine. Not lamenting. Here's the main issue. There are people who are seeing these protests who are thinking, why are these people doing this? Why are they wasting their time? It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Then why are they making the government so angry? Like, why are they those crazy people? What are they, stupid?
I still don't.
I don't know.
Like, so if the point is that he's responding to the people replied to him saying these things that show they're ignorant in some way, I don't think that responding to them by saying eat shit and stop watching my movies is at least it could easily be less constructive than doing nothing, and it's hard to believe it's more constructive than saying something nice and like, you know, you should think more about
Like,
the fact that people still
intelligent. But no, if they're looking to Seth Rogen for information, like, he's a comedian, like, I don't know.
So then you're saying it's not constructive.
About things.
It shouldn't have been constructive, or it's not constructive. Like,
constructive towards what?
Well, it sounds like we identified the problem earlier as black men getting hurt by the police and killed by the police.
So is Seth Rogen's post helping less black people be beaten by police? Is your question?
Yeah.
I mean, not directly.
I mean,
but
not correctly.
But
That's interesting.
The issue isn't necessarily like, the issue is police beating black people. Like, that is the issue, but it's not the greater, grander issue of being aware that this is happening. That is the most important issue.
That is,
and stopping it. Like, that's the goal.
The main thing, I think, or one of the things about Black Lives Matter, the hashtag, the movement, is we need to recognize, you said this is a 5-year movement, but that is not, like, this has been a problem.
It's a 5-year, it's a 5-year, like, hashtag.
Yeah, 5-year hashtag, but the problem is 500 years or
more. It's like since the beginning of humanity,
humans have been enslaving each other. Yeah, for a long time. People, always, either philosophically or in the color of skin. Yeah, and
like, you can look at the issue, like, of looking at black not as a delineation of race, but as a line of society. Where a person can lead a black life and not necessarily be black. But, I mean, I don't want to touch on that.
Yeah, more like just a minority and a majority, or a set of minorities and a majority that are, there's a good word for it. They have fewer rights. The minorities wind up having fewer, like women versus men for a large portion of humanity and still now. And that's just been, even disregarding slavery, just systematic manipulation to put minority people in worse situations and in power economically, etc. And so so this problem of pervasive making it harder and putting minorities in bad situations or killing them, like up to the worst thing, is still happening, and it's still an unsolved problem. And that's why we are saying Black Lives Matter is a hashtag, and there is a movement, and we're repeating it. That's why it is worth repeating, is because it's an unsolved problem.
I mean, it's not just an unsolved problem, it's a building problem, because, like, there's there's tensions mounting. Like
Mm.
none of these are isolated incidents. It's like each time it happens, the response is bigger. The response is greater. How can someone keep making the same transgression? How can someone keep making the same mistake and forcing the hand of this organization that is the oppressed, really the oppressed majority? If we're looking at people who can identify with Black people who can accept Black Lives Matter, I think that's the majority. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but it seems like we're the oppressed majority, the woke adults.
Okay.
Country. Maybe the past election proved that free-minded thought, open-minded thought is not as pervasive as originally thought, but have to have some faith that people are learning in 2020.
Sure. I mean, that would be constructive, I think, by having faith that people will learn things, not telling them to eat shit. So it sounds like you're saying...
There's other people who are doing that.
But it...
Like, why are you reading... Well, Seth Rogen's like, why are you reading my post? You should be reading about this issue.
He could have posted that. He could have posted an article that people should be reading. Like, I'm glad you can find so many other things he could have done than what he did. But my question is was what he did constructive? And I think in a lot of ways it wasn't.
Now in this lens, no, it's not constructive.
Well, is
that bad? Is it destructive?
But hold on, like you said, now in this lens, but I want to point out that the lens we should be both agreeing I specifically mean in the lens of the problem is specifically police brutality against Black people, and that's a part of a larger systemic set of racist things and systems in society. With that as a lens, is it constructive? And I think the answer might be no, even though it was really funny. And it was kind of heartwarming to see it. And in a way, it feels like he's fighting for the good side.
Our spirits right now about this whole issue are pretty low. We're feeling sure, he got a second-degree murder charge. The other officers are being charged as well.
Okay.
But everything that happened since then, the police violence, Trump's reaction,
the
destruction, the looting, these issues now need to be addressed. We were trying to get back to work. We were trying to fix our economy. Businesses were going at it. We're going down the shitter before the looting. What are they? It's your city. You're robbing from yourself. But hey, I'm not in that life. I don't know.
Surely part of the reason people busted out so hard is because they were cooped up for so long. I think that's got to be one of the reasons people were more willing to just suit up and go out and do whoa, moving around is neat. I wonder where I can throw this brick. That's when you're walking around every day and periodically doing things outside. That's probably less
people
exciting.
Are losing their jobs. People aren't able to pay rent.
Very true. People
all
are
these things.
sick.
People have to actually be on the street. So what are they going to do? Sit there, smile? No. People are pissed.
Many reasons. You're right.
Everyone's way of life has been, most people's way of life has been disrupted. What the hell are we got to do something about it. I personally haven't been to any protests. Nor
I. I keep forgetting how lucky I am.
My life is a protest for ignorance. I don't know. That's how I feel. My life is never any protest. Yeah.
Definitely protesting something, I guess. I forget how lucky I am having the library continue to pay me, even though I wasn't actually there for a long time. There's so many people with so many reasons to just be angry and upset, and then something like this happens. It's kind of, as much as wow, it sucks all this is happening at the same time, it's also kind of they're definitely related to each other. And there's the silver lining of each of these bad events or these things that seem like a turn in a direction away from justice, like the current president becoming elected, or the most recent spouts of police brutality against black people. But a lot of people protested Trump and vocalized about Trump and came together. A lot of people have come together for these protests. I think it should have been ideally all happening less violently, but I wasn't there. I don't know the situation, but that's really the destruction and the violence are the only things I wish didn't happen. The speaking up about it and people coming together and representing that this is still a problem is great. That this will help, but I do think that it's more likely it will help if we're inviting people to understand it more
instead of
sympathetically.
Their ignorance. We're like we're so fed up. Like we're so fed up with this ignorance.
But
so fed up.
So that's not. There's no excuse to give up.
Yes, exactly. That's the point that we have to make, that no matter what. If we have to find the strength within ourselves to keep bringing it back to step one, bring the conversation back to Black Lives Matter, because what else really matters? What else to talk about? Really matters. That's up for debate. I mean, that's part of our podcast. That's part of the challenge for our podcast. Like, we got to talk about something. What matters? What's not just dribble drabble.
We can talk about that too.
Which is a cool word. I don't think dribble drabble is dribble drabble because it's a cool word.
Yeah, by default, it is very important. Yeah, we can talk about dribble drabble sometimes, but I also do want to try and address important topics and also difficult topics. One of the goals I have here is to constructively discuss important and popular topics that people tend to fail to discuss constructively. That's what I was trying to do, and that's why I had an emotional reaction when I saw the Instagram post, because I saw, to me, it looked like a failure of the use of Instagram and of the goal of the person who posted it, who's this great, awesome comedian who was clearly trying to put in effort responding to Instagram posts and writing out funny things. But at the end of the day, it just looked like people failing to constructively address the problem. And if Seth Rogen really believes Black Lives Matter, he should probably be thinking about how to be constructive with respect to that.
Maybe he was just sitting in a room with a bunch of other people and was like, how can I make people do something for me? And they're like, okay, I'll offer people money to reply to my Instagram comments. Go. All of you just reply to each of my Instagram comments. I give you each $100. And he just sits back there and just like watching his movies. And they're just like, hey, what do we say to this guy? He's like, tell him eat shit.
Oh.
He's like, tell him he's not allowed to watch movies. like that. It's not like he's the one actually like, his goons do it. But that's how I imagine it.
It's possible that he actually did have nothing to do with it, right? As a professional actor, the things on his Instagram may not really represent his opinion, but I guess we need to, in my discussion of this, we're assuming, let's assume he did this, or let's assume, or regardless, whoever did it, is this, let's say Russian, so let's say
kind of socially responsible, but it lacked conviction.
Well, let's say a Russian bot hacked Seth Rogen's account. I don't think that is very far-fetched from what it would post and what it would do. That's not a good sign. You don't want to be doing their dirty work. You don't want to be making the trench between everyone deeper. We're supposed to be packing the dirt down back in between, not like dropping dynamite on it. I really do understand that it like got like that tweet. Let me look back at the tweet. It has 1 million likes, 270,000 retweets. People saw it. People observed this famous, talented, hardworking individual representing this idea and defending it and putting the time in. Well, we're assuming putting the time in to respond to people and defend it. And that might serve a good purpose. So maybe it is constructive in that way. But my fear is that of those 1 million people, if half of them are All Lives Matter people, call them whatever you want. I'm just going to call them All Lives Matter people. They might see this and maybe 400,000 are Black Lives Matter. I understand that's a very important thing. Other 400,000 are like, I don't get it. All Lives Matter. WTF, bro. And then there's 200,000 that could go either way, and some wind up going towards like, wow, this Seth Rogen guy is a dick. You know, this black, like, why is he even saying this? Doesn't seem like that good of an idea. You know, when someone sees someone who they think is a dick say something else, they think that's also less valid. So maybe a lot of people saw it, but then when people saw it, how did they respond? What came of them seeing it? And I think that if you think about that, it might not be constructive.
I think that what the All Lives Matter people are missing is that Black Lives Matter, it's like a peace offering. It's like, hey, listen, there's a difference between us. If you can agree with us on this one issue, then we can get along. Fine. Like, it's so easy. It's like,
okay.
It's like,
I mean, then that's something he could have said instead of what he said.
Well, yeah, he's probably not smart enough to say that. But he doesn't need to be smart.
You hear that, Seth?
Seth Rogen.
Greg thinks you're a dumbass.
I would also fight Seth Rogen, but out of admiration. Out of admiration.
I'd also lose. I'd let him beat me into pulp and love every second of it. Smile, just like a red grin.
we would just get in the ring like all made up like boxers and just like fill out like a blunt. Like we're just like trying to smoke the blunt like in boxing. Just like here, like accidentally like, hitting each other. Oh man, that fucking hurt.
Yeah, like take turns
like,
with it.
Shit, I'm sorry. Like yeah, like it would be like that. That's it.
Like
one of us would die.
Yeah, well, you just fight to the death, right?
Clearly.
Okay, I'm glad we figured that out.
Another blunt.
Yeah, no,
more blunts. Just be like thousands of blunts. Yeah.
Another reason I brought this Instagram post up was because it's a person I admire and I respect. Not just other people, but I do too. You know, and I would also want to fight him and have him beat me up. You know, none of this is anything.
I didn't say I wanted him to beat me up.
Well, I did.
Go ahead.
And none of what I've been saying has been anything against Seth Rogen. I'm certain that if he's the one who did it intentionally, the posting, that his goal was constructive and good and he wanted to do something helpful. But like I said, it's a different question about whether or not it is. It's a very difficult question to actually answer, but if you're not thinking about that.
How helpful was he trying to be? A little helpful, then he achieved his goal. It's better than being not unhelpful or not being helpful.
No, I think I brought up a few good points about how this could make more people like decide that all lives matter. And that
you think that Seth Rogen is going to turn people racist for being an asshole?
No, I think people will be potentially more closed off to the idea that Black Lives Matter is something that needs to be repeated and is a meaningful movement if they see someone first say Black Lives Matter and then immediately say eat shit to anyone who disagrees with them. It's like, well, I feel like someone who was making a point would then be able to back up their ideas constructively with meaningful ideas.
If this were a new issue, then you're 100% right, but like he kind of wanted to show the exasperation with with the movement, with the discrepancy between reality. And
like we
people's
said
perception.
before, if you get fed up and you want to give up and be fed up, anyone can be fed up and give up. That's not as useful, and it doesn't help the movement as much as not being fed up and not being exasperated. And like, what do you mean what is the point in saying it's not a new issue? We just agreed it's as old as humankind. It's never been a new issue. That's not even relevant. The fact that it's still an issue just speaks to how difficult it is to solve. It's a sign. The fact that this is 5 years old is indicative of how hard it is to solve and how much longer it may still be an issue, not a reason to get exasperated about it and think that it's something new.
Right. We both agree on that.
And so I do understand what you're saying. Maybe he was trying to show that, but once again, is that helping is my question about it. And maybe not. I don't think so. I think there's a lot of other things that we've come up with that would be more informative and more sympathetic, that would be better, and maybe nothing would have also been better. Or maybe just the image, like just say like, oh, Seth Rogen says that all Black Lives Matter. He decided to put on his Instagram, all Black Lives Matter. That means something to me. And with nothing divisive, that would make someone think that he's, a closed-minded asshole who tells people to eat shit when he doesn't agree with them. Because that's one way to look at that, I think.
Yep, I see that.
And it's tricky because maybe those people would have never agreed with him anyway, no matter what he said, right? So then, like, it's hard to count that as a loss here. But I don't think it's that simple. And I do think, and like I said, 1 million people saw it. It's worth thinking about. And that's that. I would like to look at this Black Lives Matter issue and other issues in a similar fashion, trying to be sort of above and observing what do we actually care about here, and then how do we actually go towards that thing. And as easy as it can be to be like, wow, it's awesome that he said that to those people, that was really funny, not stop there, like dig a little deeper, like, wait a minute, maybe he shouldn't have done that. I'm still laughing. I haven't unliked it, I'm one of the 1 million people that liked it.
So then I always say that words, written words, spoken words really are as valuable as the reaction they provoke, or the, I don't know, perception that they invoke in another mind.
Mm.
Yeah.
Sounds right to me.
Yeah, poorly written prose can still evoke imagery, and for that, it still has value.
Yeah, it's
Even
just
if it isn't super efficient. Like,
but if the message is angry and just insulting, then that's also true. And then you're not.
If you can't handle being
message.
insulted, then you can't handle being human. Like,
I mean,
black people like are insulted more often than we can fathom for the race, and whether or not you're offended.
Hey, baby.
Hey, look at Sarah.
Welcome home. I'm chatting with Greg.
Maturing.
Podcasting.
Oh yeah, we're in the fort. That's Sarah, my fiancée.
I said hi, but I don't think she could hear me. I think it's playing right to your headphones, right?
Yeah, no, she can't hear you.
Okay.
Greg said hi, baby.
Hi.
She's going to feed our cats now. Yeah. Even though it seems like someone who is responding with something like all lives matter might be a lost cause, and you're never going to change that kind of person's
right.
mind.
Like, they're correct. All lives matter, but that's not the point.
That's not what I'm right. I agree. That's not what I'm talking about. if we do give up on them and say no, we can never change their mind, then we're right. You know, like that's really how we lose, is by saying these people cannot. They're less human, or there's something wrong with them. Like, now we're kind of doing the thing that they're doing. You know, like we don't want to ever be like these people, especially not these people, can't get this idea, or this person can't get this idea. We're always going to be helping more if we respond by treating them like someone who could learn. And I think saying things like eat shit is not doing that.
Agreed. Definitely agree. Seth Rogen,
maybe
thumbs down on that post.
Yeah.
Should have been more cognizant.
Maybe when he catches up on the podcast, he'll hear this episode and go back. Like, what if he apologized to all those people and was like, I'm sorry, that wasn't a nice thing to say, but I do really feel strongly about this. It's important to recognize that this is still a problem in our society, and that's why I'm making
I think that could be funny enough to do.
It's maybe, yeah, being sincere can be pretty funny sometimes coming from a comedian. This is something that I repeat, not because all lives don't matter, but because there's a systemic problem that we still haven't solved. And sometimes people act like it is solved when it is not. And that is why I repeated it in my Instagram posts. And he, like, that could be better.
Well, honestly, you should send this to Seth Rogen and we should charge him.
Definitely.
He will hire us as his PR people instantly.
Yeah, like, you could be our first Patreon subscriber. What do you think, Seth? I think. Oh yeah. I think you would like it. I think you'd be down for Fort 1E.
And like I said, we could just do like a fundraiser, like the celebrity death match, where we just dress in boxing gear and just smoke blunts until one of us passes out.
Yeah, and like the rounds are just like when the blunts go out.
Yeah, like, you gotta sit down.
Like, you go in the corner, and then the ref comes by with the towel and a blunt. Like
it's like hour number 10 of the.
There's no water, but they give you beer.
50 blunts. No, I can't drink beer. I can't drink beer. No, there has to be water. There has to be water.
No.
What? It would end so quickly.
Yeah, I guess it would have to be water.
They have like these like underwater like lens to get through the smoke to the camera. The entire stage.
Yeah, hot box the entire boxing ring. Hot boxing.
Yes.
We got it.
Hot boxing.
That's beautiful. All right, I think we should end on that. Thank you for listening, everybody. I hope you enjoyed your time at the fort. As we said earlier, if you have questions for us or want us to elaborate on anything or just tell us, really insulting stuff, that's all good. To come do it. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
If it starts a conversation, we will entertain that conversation.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I'll respond. and if you're really, really nice to me, maybe I'll tell you to eat shit. But otherwise,
we won't tell you just to eat shit.
Oh no, piss too.
Yes. See?
Yes.
More thought, better answer. Okay.
A chaser.
Anyway, until next time.
Yes. Thank you for joining us.
Fort 1E.
In the fort. And that's it.